I'm John Lloyd, President and CEO of Fidelis Private Fund, and today I'd like to talk about, where are the next real estate investment opportunities for investors? A crisis produces opportunities, and 2020 has been one crisis after another. With businesses altering the way they run, we have government policy continually changing, and people's living and work environments are shifting. All these things impact the real estate market. In most of the market statistics that we currently see, they aren't current and they're historical, and they don't really reflect what's really resulting from this crisis we're going through. And so we can't really use the stats to look ahead, but I would like today give you my perspective on the upcoming real estate investment opportunities based on what I see currently happening in the market and the economy. The current economy is being manipulated by massive government stimulus, which has really propped up consumer spending through this crisis. And I think as we see businesses come back and reopen, and we're watching the economy start to rebound and people going back to work. So I think with this happening, it's going to, have the economy is going to come back, and I believe as long as this crisis doesn't continue and the economy improves with businesses opening and people working, I believe there's some bright future for some certain real estate asset classes, especially for those willing to take the risk and step out. The two asset classes I think that are going to be great investment opportunities are residential and industrial. You have the residential housing. There's been increased demand for better and more efficient residential housing. You have the single family detached inventories are down 36% from the previous year. So you have a limited supply. There has been a drop in sales volume and prices have remained fairly stable. But I think with that limited supply and the demand, it's going to be a strong market. Multifamily housing is firm with the overall vacancy, below 4%, fewer units coming online. The individual submarkets like downtown San Diego, there's a higher average vacancy and there's more supply, which will take time to absorb. As far as just the overall demand, you have people working more from home, and they're finding out that they can work from home and may not need to go back to the office. So there's going to be an increased demand for more efficient, better housing, a home office. There's going to be some transition. The health risk of COVID-19 is resulting in many people deciding to transition into housing with more privacy, more detached area. They have their own space. You have the gas prices that have come down, making it more feasible for people to live in the suburbs and commute. So I think, and then the inner city turmoil that's gone on. This is, people are wanting to look to the suburbs, looking for more privacy, more security. And I think this whole thing is going to fuel more demand for residential housing. Both in the single family detached and in the multifamily. I think these markets are both going to be strong. And then you have the industrial. I think there's been an increase in demand for industrial due to the e-commerce. I think the needing more storage, more shipping area, more back office. A lot of these specifically restaurants that are doing carry out, and they're seeing a less need for the prime space and more need for back office prep space. And I think this is going to fuel more demand for industrial. And I think for investors with a tolerance to risk, I believe there's going to be some great investment opportunities in the underperforming assets. They're going to be like office and the retail markets. The fallout from people working from home in the office market, I think there's going to be a less need for office space. They're going to create more vacancy, downward pressure on rents, and ultimately lower property values. So, I think the office space area will continue to have increased vacancy, and there's more issues with valuation. For example, in the office market, I think in May of this year, Twitter announced that it permanently is going to eliminate the need for much of its office space. With people going home to work, they found out this works. So I think this is a trend that's going to be throughout the United States office market, and it's going to affect values, office values, and again, I think fuel more of the residential housing market. On the retail front, this is going to be another investment opportunity. You're going to have increased demand in retail space, I think, due to the e-commerce, the digital, the businesses have gone digital. It's going to reduce their need for brick and mortar. Restaurants specifically, the ones that have learned to adapt again to the digital and the e-commerce, the more carry-out dining, they're not going to need that prime physical space as much. They'll need some, but not as much. And then you have the older generation. They've been forced to use e-commerce and digital, and this is a whole new segment of the market that wasn't there before, and I don't think that's going away. And again, that's going to put downward pressure on the need for retail space. Then you have the psychological impact of the COVID-19 social distancing that has resulted in businesses shifting away from serving people in the physical space. Again, more carry-out dining, drive-through, and the elimination of specifically the buffet type restaurants. So I think you're going to see retail restaurants not needing as much space, and they won't be able to afford the high rent for the space they had before. Again, is going to put downward pressure on retail values. With businesses becoming more efficient, needing fewer resources, again, this is going to affect that segment of the market, and there's going to be some opportunities. I have a client purchasing a vacant Souplantation building, at below cost. And I have another client looking at an empty big box retail store, in similar circumstances where it's below cost. These transaction types where if they're priced right, are going to be great investment opportunities, because there is still going to be a need for brick and mortar, in the grocery and the liquor stores, the gyms, the destination type uses. There's still going to be a need, and if you can get it priced right and those willing to take the risk, there's going to be some opportunities. The owner-occupied commercial property sales have increased. I think this is an area that's going to be strong. You have, due to the government intervention with the SBA financing, they're providing these low interest rates, favorable loan terms, which has fueled demand for owner-occupied properties across all the real estate classes. And then you have, with the global interest rates low, have massive government debt in most countries, including the US. I think this is going to continue to put downward pressure to keep interest rates low, and again will stimulate the economy and the real estate investment opportunities here. So I think how we purchase products and services, where we work and how we interact to remain healthy given this COVID, the decisions we're making of where we live and working, these all impact real estate values and create investment opportunities. I believe the changes we are experiencing due to this crisis, I think we need to accept that this has become the new norm, and we need to learn to adapt. We can't look back and say, what was, and try to go back. We need to look ahead to what is and adapt to it. There's going to be opportunities for those investors who will take notice to what's going on and to have vision and to have the courage to take a risk. And so those are the areas I see as investment opportunities. And So thank you for listening. And for those who have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, in the description there's a link on the channel, subscribe. And for those who have not subscribed to my bi-weekly blog, also in the description there's a link, you can subscribe there. So thank you for listening. And if you want more information about Fidelis Private Funds, see our website at fidelispf.com for my contact information and more about what we can do for you as far as loans and investors wanting to invest in a mortgage fund. Again, thank you for listening. Until next time, talk to you later.